already at war. You just couldn't see it because they were killing us slow.
Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to talk about some Season 6 casting news for The Expanse and do a quick follow-up on my videos from last weekend. I got a ton of comments on those from people who were worried that a 6-episode Season 6 means we're looking at a Game of Thrones final season situation. I get the concerns, but I'll get into why these two things aren't the same. First, for the casting news, Deadline reported that Kathleen Roberston is set for a key role in the 6th and final season of The Expanse. This was news to me, but I did mention in my teaser breakdown that I thought there would be new Belter characters to help fill out the Free Navy, and that's what we have here. When I was reading this article, the actor's face looked so familiar, so I went to IMDb and had the embarrassing realization that I remember her from Beverly Hills 90210. What's worse is that her character debuted in the 4th season of that show, back in a time where seasons were something like 25 episodes long. So yeah, it turns out there was a time in my life where I watched more than 100 episodes of 90210. Much more importantly for The Expanse, she'll be playing the role of a Belter character named Rosenfeld, who in the books was a member of the Voltaire Collective, which is a radical faction of the OPA. I don't think we've seen them in the show, but he was an early recruit for the Free Navy. He was pretty important to their organization, and eventually he became the governor of Palace Station. A couple things here. This is a gender swap. You just heard me referring to the character as a he, but it's also a whitewash since he was described as dark-skinned in the books. Not sure where the culture warriors come down on something like that. But the other thing here is that you'll remember that in Season 5 when Pastor was in charge, he actually attacked Palace Station, which didn't happen in the books. So it'll be interesting to see how this character fits into things. I went back and looked at the teaser and you do see her in one scene in what I think is Ceres Station. At first, I thought maybe there might be a situation where they had Rosenfeld take over Ceres. In the books, Anderson Dawes is the governor there, and then maybe if you can't get Jared Harris back, which they have said on multiple occasions that it's tough to get him because he works so much, and Palace is off the table, maybe you introduce Rosenfeld as the OPA at Ceres. But then I noticed in the shot she's wearing what looks like a flight suit, so she might just be there to represent her faction, and this might just be some kind of thing where the Free Navy are coming together. Curious to see how that turns out, and for the record, I'm still holding out hope that we might get some Anderson Dawes. Hopefully we'll get a full trailer and some more cast announcements, and then get a better idea who's going to be on Marco's side. So yeah, if you're feeling stressed about the short final season, there are a couple of key differences here to keep in mind when comparing the end of Game of Thrones to the end of The Expanse. First, the writers of the Expanse book series are producers on the TV show, and they're in the writer's room. They're actively involved. They play a huge role in adapting their own stories, and the book they're on now, the 6th one, was released before the 2nd season of the show premiered. They've known where they're going since the beginning, and that is completely different than what happened with Game of Thrones, where they started out thinking that George R.R. Martin would stay ahead of them, and all the books would be done by the time the series got to the end. I mentioned in my previous video that it's not the end of the entire series. We're looking at the end of the 6th book, and they're not really including anything else. And I pointed out this quote from Ty Frank talking about how the end of Season 6 pays off the story they began in the beginning of the 1st season with the Martians, Earthers, and the Belters, with everyone fighting for their place in the solar system, with the Belters getting the short end of the stick. This does leave some mystery intact, and hopefully they'll be able to come back and continue with an adaptation of the 3 books that follow where we're at, because those deal more with the Gate Builders and the unknown aggressors. This is pretty much the opposite of what Game of Thrones did. Rather than trying to cram everything in, The Expanse is concluding at a natural stopping point so that they don't have to try to rush and include everything in a compact but comprehensive ending. I don't think there's any way that would have worked out, so I think this is the best decision. Ty must have been getting a lot of comments about the short season as well, because he posted this tweet a few days ago saying, would you rather have 6 very expensive, very high energy, non-stop awesome episodes of the show, or 0? That's a pretty easy question to answer. And without giving away any spoilers, there are some things that could be huge set pieces in this book. I mentioned in my video about the Comic-Con panel that they never said that they chose 6 episodes because that's what they wanted. But knowing what they could do with this, I could see where they might have made a decision to make less episodes so they could pour more of the budget into each one. That seems to be in line with what he's saying here. And it's also worth saying again that they did this before. They adapted the whole 3rd book of the series into 7 episodes in season 3. So this isn't a new thing, and literally the only thing that really is the same is the number of episodes when you think about these 2 series. And I could go on. The final book in the series is coming out in a month. It's not a situation where they've lost interest. The idea of a pause and then coming back is out there, and at times they've seemed optimistic that there'll be interest to make something happen in the future. They moved a lot of the story forward into season 5, so it is realistic that what's left would take less episodes to adapt. And so don't worry, or at least hopefully you can see that it's not the same as the situation with GOT. Of course, I was hoping for a long season. I don't want the series to end. But objectively speaking, there's no reason why this can't be great, and there's no reason to go into it thinking that it's going to be terrible, stressing yourself out. So I think that's a good place to leave things. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about and what you're hoping to see. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.